Hello everybody! Part 1 of the first title update for Monster Hunter Wilds is out, and with it we got a Zoshia farmable quest, Mizutsune was added to the game, and much more, including a gathering hub with a canteen. Now I'm sure many of you may have read the patch notes and seen the live stream, so you know the details, but you don't know them in detail. So we're going to be talking about things like armor sets, their perks, weapons, and their specific perks, and what exactly the gathering hub / arena quests provide you, as well as other things as well. First off, let's talk about Mizutsune. Okay, so this fight is very fun and very visually appealing. Mizutsune is an absolutely beautiful monster with a beautiful armor set, and the fight itself does look very good. Unfortunately, though, it does not afford much in the way of challenge, and it doesn't really cement itself as, like, a staple monster in the game that really goes toe-to-toe with an Apex. It feels just like any other non-Apex monster, in my honest opinion. Others may feel differently. There is one moment in the fight, though, where it does set itself apart from the rest. It enters Soul Seer mode, so it's very much like Soul Seer Mizutsune from some of the older games. If you're newer to the series, like myself, it's very reminiscent of Violet Mizutsune from Sunbreak. And during this mode, it is actually very engaging and fun. Unfortunately, it's very short-lived, though, and once the Soul Seer mode does end, the monster basically dies because it goes into an exhausted state where you can just kind of wail on it to finish it off. Yeah, no, just kidding. That is how I felt when I was fighting the normal version of Mizutsune, but I finally found a tempered one when going around the Scarlet Forest, and oh my god, is this thing dangerous. It has a move that can one-shot, it spends 90% of the fight in Soul Seer mode, and it doesn't just flinch on every hit. It's a real, actual hunt this time around, and it turned the wound system from something overpowered into something that's just actually helpful to the hunter, and aiming for the scars meaningfully to open tempered wounds was a really rewarding experience. Also, it's a challenge to get to those wounds now, because Mizutsune does not just stay in one place and let you wail on him. Easily the best tempered monster in the game right now. I love Mizutsune, and Capcom cooked here. Okay, let's talk about the Mizutsune gear. I think let's talk about the Slicked Blade perk on the weapons first of all. So it comes level 3 Slicked Blade once you build the weapon. Doesn't matter what weapon it is, it has this. And basically it increases your affinity when wet, whether you're standing in water, maybe if you get hit by water attacks as well, haven't tested it. But you also get 21% when you have Bubble Blight. I do not know if these stack. If they do stack, it would be 30%. Like, I don't know if Bubble Blight counts as wet. I think it should. So I'm just going to assume 30%. But again, this hasn't really been tested yet. So if you do have information on that, let me know in the comments below. I think that is cool and all. But unfortunately, the only reliable way to apply Bubble Blight for yourself is to wear a 4-piece Mizutsune set, which is a bit heartbreaking because the armor perks are not that great. It's kind of a comfy focus, which is fine, but I feel like comfy focus should have been earlier in higher rank, not near the end with Mizutsune. That being said, some of these pieces of armor are actually seeing some meta use. The chest piece has some niche use because it can replace some people's Arc Vulcan if they want to prioritize burst with 2 level 2 deco slots, especially if they want to do like Counter-Strike or something like that. But one thing that's actually seeing a lot of meta use is the Mizu Beta Boots because it has level 2 burst and a level 3 deco slot. So a lot of gore sets are changing that out and either running the chest piece or they're switching from 4-piece gore sets to 2-piece gore sets to slot this in and have some extra things to mix it up. But yeah, overall, I was initially disappointed, especially with the fact that you need 4 pieces for Bubbly Dance. I think that's a bit strict, and I think Bubbly Dance would see a lot more use, so would Slicked Blade if it was only 2-piece to proc it on yourself, and 4-piece maybe just added to the evasion bonus. But there are some use cases for this in the meta, so I'm happy that we're getting some kind of meta shift here, even if it doesn't mean that Bubbly Dance is going to be making a huge impact. Alright, time to talk about the next big thing on the menu, Zoshia. So once you've done the quest, you'll be able to fight Zoshia when they randomly show up in Wyveria. It will look very similar to when Jin Dahad shows up in the Ice Shard Cliffs, and the best way to get them to spawn is to rest in Wyveria and force inclemency over and over again until you get them to pop up, or just join other hunters' investigations. But be warned, many people are dying because this fight is absolutely a shift for the game and is by far the most dangerous monster we have in the game right now. I don't want to say it's a particularly challenging fight for Monster Hunter as a series, but it definitely is for Wilds, and if you've been cruising by on easy mode for the entirety of Wilds, you will definitely experience challenge during this fight, and it's catching a lot of people off guard. Definitely a fun fight though, easily a top 5 fight in this game. Also, I started making this video when the update dropped, and a day has now passed, so I have more info to work with in terms of meta shifts, and I just want you to keep in mind that it does take a few days for meta shifts to settle down, so keep your eyes peeled. But I did put text over the Mizutsune gear section about meta shifts. The boots are actually really great because it's a piece of gear that breaks the rules of previous gear, since it has a level 2 damage perk and a level 3 deco slot. That's a big deal, and the same can be said for the new Zoshia chest piece. So yeah, the entire set is actually really solid. The set bonus lets you recover HP even when it's not naturally recoverable. The perks are pretty good and the slots are awesome, but it's just hard to compete with the Gormagala set bonus, so that still stays on top. But as I mentioned earlier, the chest piece is quite impressive, featuring 2 points in Agitator and a level 3 deco slot. So a lot of people are replacing Blongo armor and sometimes even Arc Vulcan armor with the Zoshia chest. The Zoshia weapons are quite interesting because of their special skill, White Flame Torrent. This has a chance to do extra damage per hit. People are still looking into this at the time of recording, but from what we know so far, this is always going to be a flat 50 damage regardless of the weapon, and it has a chance to happen once every 3 hits. It can happen on the first hit, second hit, or third hit before resetting. It's guaranteed on the third hit if you didn't get it on the first 2. That makes it look like a prime option for dual blades and sword and shield, but the downside is that there is a cooldown of about 3 seconds per registered hit, so after you do a demon dance with dual blades, you may only have like 5 registered hits total, which is a shame. We'll have to see how this shakes out later down the line, but I think it's still really cool, and while it may not be as good as Artian weapon options, it certainly isn't bad by any means. Next up is the Gathering Hub, which is known as the Grand Hub in this game. It's the most spacious Gathering Hub we've had, and I think it looks great. It's my personal favorite so far. They also brought the canteen back, but it's not your standard canteen. You need vouchers in order to access it. These vouchers will let you get each region's specific meal at the Gathering Hub, and there's 2 types of vouchers. There's vouchers that are specific to each region's particular meal, and then there's the Pick a Meal voucher, which, shocking, lets you pick your regional meal. You can acquire the Pick a Meal voucher through login bonuses, arena quests, and rarely through barrel bowling, which you also need a voucher to participate in. The area-specific vouchers I do not know how to acquire, unfortunately, maybe by doing the settlement help quests that randomly pop up, but I have no proof of that. Next on the list is arena quests. They have been added to the game, and for those new to the series, arena quests give you pre-made loadouts to hunt monsters with, and your goal is to kill it as fast as possible to earn rewards based off your performance. You do get some new gear from the materials you earn from these quests, but they are mostly used for guild cosmetics. You can earn some additional ingredients for your meals though from these, and they can be finished pretty quickly if you need any Eastern Honey or Jeweled Roe alongside those meal vouchers. But unfortunately, and everybody saw this coming, so I don't know why Capcom didn't, there are going to be cheaters that are competing for the leaderboard spots for Arena. And yeah, it's infested with cheaters right now. Nobody that's playing legitimately is ever going to stand a chance on the leaderboard. And unfortunately, I think there's actually charms tied to your placement on the leaderboard. So hopefully Capcom does something about that and just gives it to everybody for free or something. The biggest part of the update for PC users like myself, though, is definitely the performance increase. So the game does run much better, noticeably so, on PC. So Steam users, you're going to be able to run the game a lot better. And rigs with lower end parts might actually be able to start running it as well if it's within the minimum specs. No promises though. I have some pretty serious hardware. I have a 3090 Ti with a 7900X 3D, and I wasn't able to run the game well at all before the title update, maxing out around 50-ish frames. Now I'm able to get a consistent 60, if not more, in everywhere other than the oil well basin. Even the plains during inclemency, it runs perfectly well. The only time I have issues during oil well basin is when changing areas, or if there's like a turf war or something going on, then it kind of starts to stretch it out to the 40 mark again. But one thing I want to say is there is not a mandatory shader compilation whenever you put up the game like there was at launch. So I'd recommend to let your game sit on the main menu for a few minutes after updating, because I didn't, and my game actually ran worse than launch. So once I restarted it and let it sit on the menu, it ended up running very smoothly. So just letting you know ahead of time to just wait on menu for a bit. And now, without a doubt, the most important and the first real addition in this title update is the ability to change the handler's outfit and glasses. Yes, you can now change the way Alma looks. There are some free DLC items in the shop. There's also some paid ones, but who wants flashbacks to Monster Hunter World's handler, am I right? Anyways, your preference. But I'm sure they're going to be adding a lot more of these. We're going to see some in the Blossom Dance, I'm sure, later this month. But yeah, that about covers it for Title Update 1. There were also some balance changes as well as accessibility passes. For instance, it is now easier to put in Note 3 during your Echo Bubble and Focus Strike with Hunting Horn, and Bo got a bit of a balance pass by nerfing some of Dragon Piercer's damage but increasing Thousand Dragons damage. So hopefully that mixes up the playstyle a little bit and doesn't dumb down the Bo into just a Dragon Piercer spam. Oh, one more thing to mention is that monsters, they didn't include this in the patch notes, but monsters now spawn like in their non-natural habitats. I fought a Gormagala in Wyveria. Apparently Mizutsune can also spawn there. Also, in the Scarlet Forest, a lot more monsters can be up in Uthduna's nest. I fought an Arkveld and Mizutsune up in Uthduna's nest already, so, you know, keep your eye out. There should be some fun environmental matchups now. But yeah, that about covers Title Update 1, at least Part 1. We are going to be getting an Arc-tempered Rey Dau later this month, as well as the Blossom Festival. So those are going to look pretty great, and then we're going to hear more stuff at the end of May, either early May or end of May. But yeah, we'll keep you posted whenever those come out.